When it comes to Call of Duty Zombies, DLC 4 has always been special. It's the conclusion, the finale, the map that always tries to tie everything together from the previous 10 months or so, from the destruction of the Earth on Moon to the end of the Aether story on Tagged or Toten. DLC 4 is where Treyarch usually pulls out all the stops. Today, we're going to be diving into the history of every single one of Treyarch Zombies DLC 4, looking at their gameplay, very brief story details, and the impact they left on the community, and then ranking them all in the end. So stick with me, grab your popcorn, it's going to be a long one. Following the jungles of Shangri-La, we arrive in a unique spawn area, No Man's Land. Located in Area 51, it's where the Pack-a-Punch is located, and two major perks being Jug and Speed Cola. You can kill zombies essentially infinitely, and there are no rounds here. When you're ready to leave, you will teleport to the moon, where you will need to equip the PES, a unique item in order to survive without oxygen. The map introduces another item that has never been seen before and since, the Hacker. The Hacker lets you interact essentially with anything interactable. Want to spin the mystery box again? You can do it for cheaper with the Hacker. Want to hack a carpenter? You'll get a max ammo. There's a lot of other use cases for it, but both the PES and the Hacker are integral for the Easter egg, but you cannot have both at the same time. Returning from Ascension, the Gersh device, God. Ooh. The Gersh device is back, and now also the QED, also known as the Quantum Entanglement device. QED makes literally no sense. You could literally throw one of these and a jump scare could appear. Or it could take some ammo away with a mythical red max ammo, or literally kill you. Another addition was the Wave Gun. Also a first of its time, it had two forms, one being the Wave Gun itself, and then the Zap Guns. The Wave Gun could kill a full horde of zombies in one shot, and the Zap Guns could kill one at a time, but with more ammo. And Moon introduces two map hazards, the Cosmonaut and the Excavators. The Excavator can be avoided using the hacker panels, or using the hacker on the panels to avoid them from breaching the map and needing to use the PES in certain areas when the power is on. But the Cosmonaut, Alright, this motherfucker could be so sneaky and quiet at times you forget he's there, and he'll grab you, take one of your perks, and send Jesus through your body because you're so terrified. I do like how on the Xbox 360, I don't know if it's on the PlayStation 3, but on Xbox 360, it would have one of your friend's gamer tags as the Cosmonaut's name. So you'd look at the Cosmonaut with a tear in your eye before you'd kill him. But talking about the Wonder Weapon and the special equipment again, I like how they're in the mystery box, because it gives value to the box unlike recent games, but needing to get the Gershes, QEDs, and then the Gershes again in a single run through the Easter egg is the biggest pain in the ass ever. While doing the Easter egg for this video, I literally spent an hour trying to get the Gershes, and I got so tired of it that I ended up just using a patch. Anyways, this map also introduced Mule Kick, allowing you to carry 3 weapons at a time, and it was also retroactively added to all the other Black Ops 1 maps. Also, forgot to say, but this map, the atmosphere on this map is insane. Chef's kiss, you could even say. You're on the fucking moon, and that shit is just peak. Also, one more footnote, a lot of people consider Black Ops 2 to be the first super Easter egg with the nav card on Buried, but you could consider Moon to be the first because in order to fire the rockets on Black Ops 1, you needed to have a player with the Call of the Dead and Shangri-La Easter eggs finished, which I think is a cool little thing that not a lot of people remember. This is the first time in the zombie storyline where we see Samantha, and we actually see Samantha and Richtofen switch bodies, and it concludes with Richtofen's grand scheme blowing up the Earth. This was a huge moment in the zombie storyline and the zombies community because this map showed the scale of where zombies could go in the future and ended the game on a cliffhanger of where we could be going in the future in terms of the next maps. One final fact about DLC 4 for Black Ops 1 was that the original idea for it was a Paris map, and small details about the map were explained in an interview with Jason Blundell. Arriving in Origins following the conclusion of the Ultimus story, the first thing you will notice on Origins is a new starting pistol for the first time, being the Mauser. The map also introduces a different power system, where you start 6 different generators to power each segment of the map, and to unlock the Pack-a-Punch. This also introduces a map hazard, where Templar zombies will spawn in and try to turn off the generators, and if you're successful, you are rewarded with a max ammo. Origins is the first map to introduce the idea of elemental wonder weapons, with the staves and their upgrades, that are seen in many maps in the future. The map also introduces hazards like the mud to slow you down, and the giant robots, which are both opportunities for the players to acquire staff parts. The map also introduces different weather cycles, which we have not seen again in another zombies map, in the same way where it introduces possible rewards like the ice staff and the dig sites, which are also a new feature, where if you have the shovel, you can get different rewards such as points, weapons, and even a grenade if you want. The map also introduces the Panzer, being the first mini-boss in zombies. The zombie tank is also another addition, where it was not the first vehicle, but it offers players the opportunity to get the lightning staff. The map also introduces the 1-inch punch, being a melee upgrade, as well as the G-strikes, which are similar to the monkey bombs, and both of these are useful in their own right and are amazing additions, but they're also needed for the Easter egg. And again, the atmosphere on this map is insane, with the giant robots, planes, and the zeppelins flying overhead in the middle of World War I battlefield. Also, with the crazy place being such a unique place, we still to this day do not even know where it is located. The Easter egg is also just iconic, with its speedruns and the 8 steps being a reference to the Black Ops 1 campaign mission Vorkuta. Origins truly rewards the players who know the most about the map. Also, the intro cinematic was just peak. This is the map where Primus is introduced, a younger version of the crew, and set the stage for the multiverse and the cycles that was introduced back in Mob of the Dead. This ends with the infamous cutscene of Samantha and Eddie in the house, leaving players theorizing for years. And must I remind people that people were mad as hell when this ending came out, because they thought the zombies was just a game in Sam and Eddie's head. Origins became the blueprint for future zombies maps, being quest-driven, wonder weapons tied to the map, and heavy Easter egg focused. And in many people's eyes, this was the peak of zombies, and even until this day. Following the ending of Gorod Krovi, we end up in the house in Revelations, and this map breaks the previous 2 DLC 4's innovative desires, in my opinion. A lot of different ideas were developed in previous maps, but this time around, the map is based around ideas brought from previous maps and bundling them together into one map. Having only 2 unique areas in the map, being the spawn room and the Apothecon, where the Pack-a-Punch is located. We see a return of the Thunder Gun, the DG4 from Der Eisenschlag, Lil Arnie's from Shadows of Evil, and the Apothecon Servant from Shadows of Evil, which can actually be Pack-a-Punched in this map.
It is not possible to upgrade the Apothecon Servant in Shadows of Evil.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I think there was a missed opportunity having all of the last 3 or 4 specialists in the map and choosing between the different specialists, possibly through different quests. I think if they were going to reuse a lot of different elements from different maps, they could have just fully leaned into that and maybe have even more wonder weapons in the map, whether that be in the box or through their own quest, but limited to 1 or 2 per player. Even the Keeper is a reskin of the Civil Protector from Shadows of Evil. Yes, the Margos get elemental versions, but again, there really isn't much that is new in this map. Even the boss fight was essentially the same thing as Shadows of Evil's quote-unquote boss fight. And with the week-long search for the Easter egg, this map unfortunately soured quickly, due to literally only one step being the bone step that honestly makes 0 sense for the map or even the story. Even though it does sound like I'm dogging on this map, walking through the different sections of each part of the map is very nostalgic, and the skybox is arguably the best we have ever seen. Story-wise, this map was pretty eventful. We conclude the Primus and Ultimus multiverse arc the cycle is revealed. No matter what Richtofen and the crew do, they are doomed to repeat events until the actions of the mob crew break the cycle. I do want to say this about the final cutscene. Apparently it was supposed to be longer, but it was made shorter just because not everything needs to be said in detail in these cutscenes. This was revealed to us through leaked developer documents, and essentially how the cutscene would have been different was before the characters of the Great War popped up, it would have been a black screen and it would have been Samantha saying it began long ago on the battlefields of the Great War. And then before the cutscene goes to the end, it would have said, "My name is Samantha. I'm going to tell you where this all really began." The difference being between her saying where instead of how compared to the Origins cutscene. While highly divisive, some people love the fan service, others hated the recycled layout, and I would say most people, being somewhere in the middle, most would agree that of the Black Ops 3 maps, this has aged the worst. Ultimately, I think this map was not supposed to be the absolute hit the previous two maps were, and was more so setting up the story to have a much anticipated Great War map in Black Ops 4 be the pinnacle of zombies. But as we all know, that would end up not happening. Following Alpha Omega, we arrive at the remake of Call of the Dead. Stripped of the celebrity cast, tag der Toten. Most of the core Call of the Dead areas are still present, some expansions being the 935 facility on the mountain and the spawn location. And there are other locations added, but these are the most significant. The ziplines and flingers return as well with an Easter egg that lets you see Mars? Yeah, kind of confusing, but there was also an addition where you could get a golden pack-a-punch. This would skip you needing to pack-a-punch 4 times and only needing to do it once. Genuinely a great feature considering the risk that came with it. Hopefully maybe a feature we can see in current day zombies. The Hermit at the top of the lighthouse is a part of the core gameplay loop. Need to repair the flinger gearbox? He's got you. But you'll need to clean his piss bottles. Not only are there piss bottles, there are also golden snowballs. Yeah, this map really questions why you're playing zombies, but it's not all bad. We get a reimagining of 2 wonder weapons, one being the Thunder Gun into the Tundra Gun. We also get the Thunder Gun as well, and the Wunderwaffe DG2 into the Wunderwaffe DG whatever that is. A new lethal was also added, the Samantha boxes. Once thrown, Samantha Maxis will appear from a portal where the music box lands. She will then suspend any nearby zombies into the air before the portal collapses, throwing the suspended zombies around and killing them. And what is great about this map is that all the weapons and the Samantha boxes are achievable through challenge rewards, and nearly all of the challenges are purely gameplay oriented. I do have some complaints about the Easter egg because it is very repetitive. Like, I remember shooting the orbs in the one room of the ship, what felt like 3 or 4 times, and the boss fight was really uninspiring. And we all know this because either A, the true Treyarch team was not working on this, or B, the team needed to rush this in order to start development on Cold War. This was the final map of the Ether story, and it is the last time we see our beloved Primus and Ultimus characters. Yes, in a cutscene, but as much as we all know that this is likely not how the game was supposed to end, with the little remaining time, I think that this was the best as the team at Treyarch could have done to give our characters a little bit of humanity for once. Talking about the impact of this map for Black Ops 4 is tough, because I think this map, oddly enough, now in my opinion, is a map that really doesn't impact how players think about Black Ops 4. And if it does, it doesn't really hurt the game. Black Ops 4 now is really remembered for those first 6 maps, because that was what Treyarch worked on with this game. And obviously people remember the character's send-off for the time being, but when it comes to how this game impacted future games, wow, it has changed all zombie games in the future, how they have really been developed to be more casual friendly. Unfortunately, the Cold War Zombies maps are where a lot of the game feels relatively the same or very unenthusiastic in my opinion. Because you see all but like 1 map or so in the campaign, and we only received 4 round-based maps. Anyways, I'm complaining about Cold War as a whole, but in Forsaken, they had a new take on No Man's Land area from Moon. The zombies would spawn, but the round counter would actually increase even without zombies actually being killed. There is also the Crystal Axe, a melee / energy rifle hybrid, which you could actually AFK with the melee until like the mid 30s without going down, which is kind of encapsulates how easy this game was, in my opinion. The boss fight against the Forsaken was something a little different. I don't know if I necessarily think it was good, but I personally like it. It was the first time where you weren't doing damage to the boss strictly yourself. You needed to sort of charge up these cannons by getting kills around them, and then damage the Forsaken using them. And if you were playing co-op, you had to communicate on where you were going to shoot first on the Forsaken each time, or else it would do no damage to the Forsaken. Now, I forgot to say this in my notes, but the atmosphere of this map was actually very good in my opinion, until you entered the actual like Forsaken big building thing. Because in there, it felt very consolidated and you didn't really have a whole lot of, atmospheric elements, in my opinion. This map also introduced the Abominations, which was a spin-off of the Margwas, but I think it was innovative and they totally would not be reused over and over again in future games. But anyways, they also introduced PhD as PhD Slider, giving it some insane movement capabilities, especially in Black Ops 6. With the limited amount of development time and change in development strategies with Cold War, with making the game overall easier with high rounds and to do Easter eggs on the map really didn't stick well to me to begin with. And unfortunately, I don't really have much more else to say than pizza. This ends the new Dark Ether story inside of Cold War, with Samantha consumed by dark power and Eddie / Richtofen plotting from the shadows. And I can't lie though, I remember people being either lit as fuck seeing Eddie for the first time or being like, oh brother, this guy's back. This game was the pinnacle of easy as hell zombies, unfortunately uninspired maps, but things were going to get better in the future soon. But we had a good idea of where the story was going to be in the future. However, we were far from going to that island in the Pacific, and we would be going into a dark ages of COD zombies.
Zombies.
Before we go any further, let's do a quick talk about these two games. I didn't mention World at War because obviously there was not a DLC 4 for obvious reasons. Now, Vanguard does not have a DLC 4 because it only released 3 maps as post-launch content, and I'm not going to be counting an update to a launch map as a DLC because it shouldn't be. And I'm not going to be talking about Modern Warfare Zombies because it does not have the same sort of DLC cycle as other Treyarch zombies. It did have multiple story missions, but I don't think this is comparable to the maps we got in other games. So when I said that this is the Dark Ages of zombies, this was the Dark Ages I was talking about because the content was very uninspiring or just not traditional round-based zombies. And if you have a problem with this, shut up, it is my video, and with this out of the way, let's talk about Black Ops 6. Coming to the end here, we have The Reckoning. The Reckoning has a lot of interesting features like upgradable traps, which has never been seen before in zombies. Unfortunately, it's not a feature that's really used due to the game mechanics, but there was a new wonder weapon that was introduced, the Gorg Effects. It had 2 different variants. And it's interesting because to get one of the you have to get one of the upgrades in order to pack a punch, which went over well with people, I bet. And I remember doing the Panos upgrade for the first time on the map, and I legit said something along the lines like we had Liberty Falls just for this. Honestly, I'm just making this sound a lot worse than it actually is, but during the Easter egg we fight the Forsaken again, but a much weaker version. We also get the Ether Blade from Modern Warfare Zombies, which was a great return, but unfortunately it really just isn't that great in this game because of the constant drops of other equipment that would be better off using those, and also the recharge time of the Ether Blade is pretty slow. We also get a new mini-boss being the Uberklaus, which I find to be a really cool addition to zombies. It's really strong, but to counteract it, it's very slow. And what I like about it is that it changes the pace a little bit of having weak shoulders instead of just having a weak chest or headshot like every other mini-boss we've had. But we all know what really makes this map special are the boss fights. The option to have the easier Samantha boss fight or the harder Richtofen fight I think is a perfect way to do a boss fight. Being able to defeat the Richtofen boss fight without actually using any gobblegums or doing any sort of cheese to manipulate the boss fight was like an accomplishment to do, and we haven't really had something like that in a long time in zombies. So that's something that can really make a map special. Reckoning, it reintroduces the OG 4 characters at the end of the Easter egg while still having our Terminus crew still around, and canonically it's not totally confirmed, but the canon ending of this map is siding with Sam, and from there we move into Black Ops 7 Zombies. We have an idea of where the story is going to be moving, but we don't necessarily know the impact this map will have in the future. But I'm hopeful that Treyarch will take those risks and be bold and innovative from their golden era. And from here, let's go into my final DLC 4 maps ranking. At number 6, I have Forsaken from Cold War. I don't think it's necessarily a bad map. It has some interesting mechanics like the safe room at the top where the power is at and the pack-a-punch and the trials, and you can only stay there for a certain amount of time because of the radioactivity. When you compare it to the other DLC 4 maps, I don't think it really competes all too much. I had this at number 4, but at number 5, I have Revelations from Black Ops 3. While I don't think the map is necessarily lazy because it's reused maps or whatever, but I think the gameplay elements are more so lazy, like putting all the wonder weapons in the box, even the specialist and the little arties. Like, I feel like that's a very lazy thing to do, considering the amount of space that they had to do something interesting with the specialist or being able to acquire these items. I think that's something that could have been done a little bit better, but overall I don't think it's a bad map, but I do think it is the worst that Black Ops 3 had to offer, which was still very good in my opinion. At number 4, I have Toten Black Ops 4. When I look at this map, I pretty much look at it in the same lens as Revelations, but all of the wonder weapons and the Samantha boxes are obtainable through challenges instead of going through the box. Literally, even like the high round strat is pretty much the same. It's, you know, camping at one window and just shooting over and over and over again. And I still love the ending cutscene with each side of Primus and Ultimus, you know, giving their final remarks of like what they want to do in another life. And no, this ending was not retconned because of Black Ops 6, so shut your silly asses up about that. At number 3, I have The Reckoning. I really just believe a good boss fight, a good Easter egg can really do big things for a map. I don't necessarily think this is a great Easter egg, but the boss fights truly, I think, are one of the better ones in Zombies, considering you have, you know, the easier one, like I said before, and then you have that harder one being with Richtofen. I think all parts of this map were used well and have a good purpose behind, you know, each section of the map. But I will say it probably has the weakest atmosphere of these 6 DLC 4 maps, in my opinion, but I don't think it hurts the map all too much. At number 2, I have Moon, Black Ops 1. I think this was a groundbreaking map, shocking, and honestly, like, it may have not set up the maps that we necessarily wanted, but I think it gave the Zombies game mode a bigger scale than anything I think anybody was thinking that it had at the time. Like, when you blow up the moon, it really gives like players ideas of like, wow, what are they gonna do next? And lastly, I think it's a given, Origins Black Ops 2. It's the gold standard for both gameplay and story. I think it's a perfect Easter egg. Maybe not necessarily a perfect Easter egg, but I think it's the most iconic Easter egg that we've got. And I'm not saying this is unbeatable, like I'm not saying Black Ops 7 can't do better, but what you have to do is you have to have scale, you have to have atmosphere, and you have to have innovation that all culminates into something as great as something that Origins did, and we haven't had that in some time now. And again, I'm not saying this is an unbeatable, but you have to have all those things culminate into one to have something special like Origins was. Now, if you think I missed anything with any of these maps, like maybe I missed like a small detail, let me know in the comments and I'll respond whether I disagree or agree with you that they were good features, bad features, or maybe you think one map it should be ranked higher than another. But if you liked the video, drop a like, and thank you for watching. See you, and thank you, and goodbye.